Live now.
Now,
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
well, thank you.
Yeah. It's I'm wearing my Cesar hat because it's Cesar's birthday today.
Oh no, what?
Yeah. Today is the
We
22nd
open.
anniversary.
I thought we open on the 6th.
They've always said, Richard always said, everybody's always said it was Cinco de Mayo, so who knows?
Yeah.
So it may or may not be, but it definitely is Cinco de Mayo.
It is Cinco de Mayo, so yes. So
So
you're right.
a lot of people will be drinking margarita. I will be making margaritas later for my wife and I. And I don't know if we'll be eating Mexican food or not, but
Do you use
tequila, yes.
do you use fresh lime, right, for the margarita?
Oh yes, absolutely. Yes, I do. Well, at home, I use a triple sec because it's very inexpensive, and a big bottle of it goes a long way. Cointreau is better, but it's very expensive.
Yeah, triple sec. Well, you have to work the lime a little different, and
Yeah.
I think
I use very little of the triple sec. I just use a little splash of it because it's very sweet, sweeter than Cointreau.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
So, and I'm just a poor, humble writer, so I can't afford those fancy liqueurs.
But you're humble, though.
I am humble.
Okay,
I am humble. I'm the humblest guy in the world. I'm the most humble person you'll ever meet. So, you know, a lot of Americans, especially non-Mexican Americans, they mistakenly think that Cinco de Mayo, they call it the Mexican Independence Day. And they think it's like our 4th of July, but it's not at all. It's not Independence Day. In fact, it's not even as big a holiday in Mexico as it is here. And that's thanks mostly to beer companies and that have promoted the holiday as a way to sell beer. In fact, they sometimes sell more beer on Cinco de Mayo than they do at the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Remarkable. But it actually commemorates a battle. It was a victory, the Mexican army, it was a victory over the French army. There were 4,000 Mexican soldiers and 8,000 French soldiers, and they fought, and miraculously, the Mexicans won. It was at the Battle of Pueblo in 1862, and General Ignacio Zaragoza was the commanding officer, and they beat the French. It was, however, a short-lived victory because a year later,
was Napoleon. That was Bonaparte.
It was Napoleon III.
Yeah, exactly. It was Bonaparte.
And, a year later, the French came back with 30,000 troops, and they pretty much kicked ass. But the reason it all came about is actually very interesting because there had been two long wars in Mexico: the Mexican-American War and what was called the Reform War, which was basically a civil war between the liberal factions that wanted a separation of church and state, and the conservative factions that wanted a tight, close bond between the Catholic Church and the government. And because this went on for a long time, it nearly bankrupted the country. So President Juarez, in an attempt to try to stop the financial bleeding, he suspended all payments on international debts. Well, you can imagine that the people they owed money to were not happy about this, which was basically Britain, Spain, and France. And so they all came to Mexico and said, hey, you know, what's up, Benito? You owe us money. You can't just say you're going to suspend payment. So Britain and Spain both negotiated with Mexico, and they came to some agreements to help Mexico. But the French, they looked at it as an opportunity to establish an empire there and to really break any connection between Mexico and America, or Mexico and Spain or Britain. And in fact, the French had this idea of creating what they called a Latin America, meaning tying Mexico to France, which was a Latin country on the Mediterranean. And so that's how Latin America came to be. That's how it came
crazy, huh?
Called Latin American. It all has to do with Latin-speaking people, not certainly not Spanish-speaking people. So very interesting. But after a year later, when the French troops came back, they pushed the Mexicans back. They captured Mexico City, and that's when they put Maximilian I in power as the ruler of Mexico, and he ruled for quite some time. The French actually left a lot of influence in Mexico. The breads that are made in Mexico, they still in Mexico City and a lot of places, they still make very much French style breads. There was a lot of influence. Then, of course, eventually they went away, and Mexico, ruled itself. But so the first celebrations of Cinco de Mayo in this country were right at the time of the battle, because at that time there were a lot of Mexicans up in California in the mining camps, working in the mining camps. And when news came of the victory, they celebrated. They were shooting off fireworks and guns and drinking, and it was really the first celebration of Cinco de Mayo. And it didn't really catch on too much until much later, and then it sort of began as in heavily Mexican populated cities like Los Angeles, especially in southern Texas and places. And today it's really just a celebration of Mexican culture. Most people don't remember the battle, that they don't even think about it so much during the celebrations. And like I said, in Mexico, it's not a big deal. But up here, I think it's a way for people to.
So they do celebrate in Mexico now.
They do. I've heard that it's become more of a thing.
Right. But it was Joseph Bonaparte. It was not Napoleon. It was Joseph Bonaparte.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yes, Napoleon. I thought there was a third, but it was his cousin or his nephew or something.
He was a wannabe. So yeah, so it
was right after the same period of Napoleon, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right after that. Napoleon was right before, and that was kind of the end again.
So even though Cinco de Mayo has become a big commercial event in the United States, where it's an opportunity to sell lots of beer and tequila and Mexican food, it's still a wonderful thing, because it's just all over that people.
It's fun here. Huh?
A lot of people wear native costumes, and they do celebrations and parties, and it's a wonderful thing. I mean, Mexicans make up a huge part of our population, especially here in California. And it's a wonderful opportunity to just celebrate that culture, which is such a wonderful culture. So much good food, so much good food.
Oh my God, yeah, I know.
Mexican food is one of my favorite cuisines. But ironically, French is one of my favorite cuisines too. So France, Mexico, man, they're right there together. So we had a friend over yesterday, and we kept our distance, and we wouldn't let her touch us at all, but we let her come over because we were desperate for company. So she came over, and she was commenting on we have quite a collection of enameled cast iron cookware. We have regular cast iron too. We have a whole bunch of different sizes of cast iron skillets, but we have this stuff, which is this is cast iron, but it's coated in an enamel finish. So cast iron is very, very porous. So when they heat it up and they dip it in this enamel, it not only adheres to the surface, but it really gets inside the iron. So it's really impermeable. It's almost impossible. I mean, you can chip it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, it's not flaking off. It's not, because it's not a surface thing. It's really becomes part of the iron. And so as a result, you have this kind of glass-like surface inside, and it's just wonderful to cook in. Really intended for the stove top, although it can't go in the oven.
Yeah.
But when you cook on the stove in this stuff, once the lid is on, because it's cast iron and because it holds heat so efficiently,
exactly,
it really creates a little oven. and you can really do
Very
some.
stable.
You
Yeah, it
got a
cooks.
lot for making soups for the two of us.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really great size, but and of course there's dozens of sizes. They make them huge. They make little tiny ones, but it's really great stuff for stews and cooking all kinds of meats and vegetables. Great stuff. We have quite a lot of it. It's nice.
They're great pans. They're great pans. They are a little bit difficult to handle when you have a cooking school or restaurants.
Right. They're heavy. They're very heavy.
Yeah. So we're using stuff like this. Analon is my sponsor, of course, but it's a really good pan. They're very heavy. They are stainless, very heavy gauge. Though they'll give you that, maybe not as much, but they'll give you a very good conduction because they have a big bottom. They have a heavy bottom, which is
hey, don't judge. Don't be a judge.
So they cook really well the same way.
Yeah, that's great.
We can do a lot of work with that. I mean, for us, it's
the shape of those pans too. They're so easy to flip food around.
And they're heavy. They're huge. They're very heavy. So those will keep the temperature very well too. But the cast iron is the Creuset one are great, but they're just too difficult for us to have in a cooking school. It's not possible. It's too much.
They're really more for home use.
They're great. My mom has those.
Yeah, they're wonderful. I love the handles on those Analon pans too because they stay pretty cool because they don't. Those are
really very well. Yeah, they're pricey, but you know, they're really.
All good cookware is pricey. There's really no such thing as plain cast iron skillets are pretty cheap. Other than that, there's no such thing as good cheap.
Cast iron is great. Also, what we have a really nice brand here, Lodge.
Lodge, yeah, from Tennessee.
Those are really good pans, huh?
Yeah, they're great pans. They're the oldest cast iron forge in America. I know the people at Lodge very well. They're really great people. They're still family owned.
Oh wow.
They still make their cast iron skillet, and they still make the best cast iron skillets. But again, very heavy, especially you start getting into bigger sizes. There we go. They're very heavy. But they're brilliant for cooking. I love whenever I cook steaks or they're great for all kinds of stuff.
They are pretty good.
And they sell Lodge now. They sell them pre-seasoned, which is really great.
Oh, they have enamel also.
Yeah, they do an enameled line too. They also do a stoneware line. I think you can see it at the end there. But the cast iron skillets are their real bread and butter.
Wow.
They've been making those for, and I've always said to them, I don't know how you're still in business because once you get one of those pans, you have it forever and you pass it down to your grandchildren. So, I mean, who's buying new ones? I don't understand it, but I'm kidding, of course, because there's lots of don't have.
The good pan, you never throw it away. You keep it forever. It's like
a good knife. Yeah. You can wear stuff out. You can break stuff.
Right.
Cast iron is porous, so if you were to drop it on a cement floor, it would probably break. But that's about the only thing you can do to ruin it. I have a great story. When I was at Dean and DeLuca, I had a woman come in one day, and she had a brand new cast iron pan that she had bought from us, and it was just completely rusted out. It was as brown. It looked like the bricks on our background here. It was just completely solid rust. And she said, I want to return this pan. It's defective. And I said, well, what did you do to it? And she said, nothing. I didn't do anything to it. It was brand new, and it came out of the dishwasher this way. And I said, you put a raw cast iron skillet in the dishwasher? And she said, well, no one told me not to. And I just, oh my God. So I said, look, it's fine, actually. If you want, you can leave it with me, and I'll fix it, and I'll take the rust off, and I'll season it for you, and then you can have it back. So she said, okay, if it's not right, I want my money back. I said, okay. So she came back in a few days later. I took it home. I scoured all the rust off, and then I seasoned it really well with good oil. And she came back, and she couldn't believe it was the same pan.
Damn.
Because you really can't ruin them. It's almost impossible.
Right. It's impossible.
but you can't put them in a dishwasher because they will come out rusted, which she found
You
out.
should not put your stuff in a dishwasher.
I don't have a dishwasher,
I don't
but
know.
if I did, I wouldn't put my cookware in it anyway.
At the kitchen, we have to sanitize all these pans and everything, so that's different. But at home, I would not do that.
Yeah, it's for dishes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't have a dishwasher, so I never have to make those decisions. But anyway, cast iron, great
Cast
stuff.
iron, those are really good. I like them, and the thing with cast iron, it's really good. I read also that you can't eat that. You can't use them every day all the time because they release iron, and I think it's not the same iron, so that could be a problem eventually. But I don't see a big issue myself. But like for example, you don't want to cook a tomato sauce in there.
No,
I
it
think it's not.
reacts to acids in a big way. So I
Or
usually don't.
lemon or all this white wine, cooking in white wine, that's not a good idea either. But
Yeah,
it's not a huge deal, no big deal.
they're great for making Spanish tortillas.
Yeah,
We've talked about that before.
when they're seasoned well, though.
Yeah. Well, mine are
Right.
black as coal, and they're practically non-stick now.
So they're non-stick because that fat that you burn, you create a polymer that's almost indestructible. It's like a smooth surface. It's beautiful, huh?
Yeah.
But that takes a little bit of time, right?
Yeah. We've had our pans for a very long time. The oldest one I have, I actually bought at a flea market,
Right.
and it's old
exactly.
even then. So I don't even know how old it is.
Is it older than you think?
My wife just yelled at me that she bought hers when she was 19.
Tell her she has a good memory.
Yeah, of course she's only 35 now, so that's not a big
Jem,
deal.
tell her she has a good memory.
Olivier says you have a good memory. Much better than mine. I don't remember when I bought my car, let alone my.
It was a Tuesday. Yep.
So anyway, we love cast iron cookware. We also love enameled cast iron cookware. We use it in different ways, but both really great.
What you should avoid to cook every day in is those very thin aluminum pan, that 100% aluminum.
We don't use aluminum.
Cooking in them is, don't worry about too much about anything particularly, but if you can get to switch to stainless or cast iron but stainless, several clad of that, that's the safest to me, in my opinion.
Yeah.
One thing about aluminum, people say, yeah, there's no risk. There's no risk, but when you look at something that is important, if you look at all the nutrients and the minerals that we need in the body, aluminum has no function, has actually zero function in the body.
Yeah,
there's not one metabolic pathway that need aluminum. Aluminum could be used in some, I forgot it, they blend metals to do something, but no, we don't have any need for aluminum other than that.
Well, a lot of good stainless steel cookware fuses an aluminum base onto the bottom, so the food actually doesn't touch it.
No,
because aluminum is really good for conducting heat. It's very similar to copper
because it's a high heat conductor.
Right. So it conducts heat very quickly, but
in both directions. So
yeah,
it
cools quickly and it heats quickly.
And so you understand how heat transfer works, and that's why those heavy pans, they take longer to heat up because you have to heat them up. They take a while because they're heavy, and then when they're hot, they'll keep that temperature really stable. So you need much less power.
Right. So like a cast iron skillet holds heat. It conducts heat very differently than a stainless steel pan because it like you said, it heats up slowly, but once it's really hot,
it radiates.
That's ever tried to pick up a stainless steel skillet after it's been off the fire for a few minutes, it stays hot for a long time.
Oh yeah, cast iron.
You really have to be careful on how you do it. But it's great. And you mentioned not cooking really highly acidic foods in cast iron, and that's what's nice about enameled cast iron is you can do that because of this sort of almost glass-like surface. it's very safe to cook, you know,
Right.
tomatoes, lemony, anything that's high acid, you can cook in a enamel cast iron, but you wouldn't want to necessarily do it in a regular cast iron skillet.
Yes.
So
It's not for stews, I guess, huh?
no, not really.
Yep.
And if I'm going to make a stew, I'd rather do it in the Creuset anyway. I think it's better, just better in general. They're easy to clean up too, because again, the surface is so smooth that things, you know, you just soak it for a minute and anything comes off. Really, they do sort of discolor after a period of time, but they clean up very nicely.
Right.
So anyway, the answer to that question is yes. I don't remember.
Definitely, yes. Good pans, good tools, everything good.
Yeah, good pans are very important, and we're going to talk more later this week about other good pans.
And by the way, this is the only thing I've spent money on. If I would, I get my pans for free, of course. But
what? Because you steal them?
I tell them to send them to me, and I give them another address for mailing, for billing.
I don't think we should encourage our listeners to steal their pots and pans, but
no, but they can find good pans and keep them forever. The idea is a good tool is you work better with it. It's easier to cook. There's a lot of advantages. It's not just for the money, and also you're gonna keep them forever. So, in my tools in general, I don't spend money on knives and bowls and stuff. I don't care, but the pans, the stock pot, anything that's, you know, the food is gonna go in. Usually, I try to keep it, you know, pretty nice and healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you said, they're gonna last you if you take care of them. They're gonna last you forever. You know, you buy a good pot, it's going to last you the rest of your life. And
unless somebody else steals them from me.
Yeah, like your children. But when the kids come to clear out your house after you're gone and sift through your debris, they'll find your pots and say, "Oh, great." They'll say, "Oh, Nona made some good food in these pots. Let's take them home."
Yeah.
So I had one more thing I wanted to talk about, and this came from a conversation I had last night, and I think a lot of people are baffled about, you know, in a restaurant, and certainly people at home as well, spend a lot of time making plates pretty. You buy nice serving pieces.
Always a good idea anyway.
A lot of thought in a restaurant is put into how you present food.
Yeah. Yes.
Table. And people often think that that's just a frou-frou thing and it's not important.
No, it's really important.
It's very important because if you think about it, your sense of sight is another element to bring into the whole experience of dining, because you obviously your sense of taste, your sense of smell,
exactly,
to bring the visual in is very important. And I think making a colorful plate, having lots of color on the plate, having pretty plates.
They did an experiment. They were serving a really good wine in two different vessels. One was with a nice glass of wine, and one was in a brand new, you know, the things that you use at night to go pee in the old days in the farms, those pots.
Oh, a chamber pot?
A chamber pot, but brand new. They literally took it out of the package. Took it out of the package, not washed or anything, just took it out of the package and served the wine in there. And,
oh my God.
And the wine didn't taste good in that.
Oh my God. Because how bad would it taste if it was a used chamber pot?
That would be maybe better, but the thing is, the psychology is very important when you eat and when you everything. It's super important. It's a whole. You get and when you smell stuff, when you go into someone's house or in a restaurant and it smells good, you're already in a mood. This is what eating is about. It's the whole, you know, friendly surroundings, family, friends, something cool, relaxing. Food is super crucial. It's super important.
That's why when so many people eat, you know, fast food on the dashboard of their car, or they eat a cheeseburger.
You know, you have to stop, even if you don't have time. You need to stop, like literally stop on the side, make yourself a little 5 minutes, 10 minutes, little, I don't know, something. Stop by the road. You can't do that. It's really, really terrible for you. It would be fine if you stop 5-10 minutes on the side of somewhere, a little, I don't know, maybe on the other side of your car, sit down outside with your legs outside and relax for 10 minutes. You know,
And I think that in a lot of cases, I mean, I don't think fast food is good for you, but even a good cheeseburger, I think people they're overweight or they're unhealthy and they blame the cheeseburger, and it's like, well, maybe it's not the cheeseburger's fault, maybe it's how you eat that cheeseburger, maybe because you're
Well,
eating it up front and you're stuffing it in and you're not thinking about it, and
that's part of the
your time.
It's part of the Mediterranean diet that people are so talk about it, which is it's impossible to say a Mediterranean diet. I don't see what specifically is Mediterranean except fresh food, spending time at the table with your family, and that's pretty much it. I don't see what else because we eat pretty much everything.
Well,
yeah, we don't eat.
It's funny too because after all the hoopla about the Mediterranean diet, they started finding some of the same health statistics in like Southeast Asia and India, and they eat totally different food.
Exactly.
So it's really, I mean, it's about the food to some degree, but it's more about your lifestyle and how you
exactly how you eat. What you do, your stress level, what do you do with the food. If you have a good life and if you're working out and if you do physical stuff, and then your food is going to be all doing a bunch of stuff in your body to repair, regrow, all this stuff. But if you are super stressed out and you have a very poor life, those nutrients are going to be just to help you pass and reduce that cortisol, reduce that stress. So you're missing out on building up your body and repairing your body because you're basically all you're doing is patching up the emergency stuff that you create by the stress and all this stuff. So you don't eat, you don't use your food, you keep patching stuff every day. That doesn't work like this. You need to go above and keep the nutrients.
Remember that it's fuel, not all just for taste.
I have so tomorrow we have my old chef Frode from Norway. He's going to call from Norway, and we're going to talk about what he used to feed. I forgot how many people. It's incredible. He used to work in the
offshore oil rig.
Yeah, crazy stuff, man.
Wow. And so those are some hard-working guys. So they must eat a lot, and they probably want a lot of protein and a lot of energy because that's tough work out there.
Look, this is my chef Frode. He's awesome. He's a really, really, really good chef. That's
wow.
And he used to make really good food. I mean, he's no joking. This guy is really good, by the way. Look at that.
He make good food. He doesn't anymore.
He does. He's not there anymore.
Is he still a chef or is he doing something else?
Still a chef. I don't know exactly what he does.
Is he back in Norway?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Those are my people.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, my father's family was all from Norway.
So that was where he was working.
Wow.
So they'd go for a month. They can't leave.
Yeah, right.
So you live there. You live on that thing.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, we'll talk to him tomorrow and we'll see what he has to say. It's pretty fun.
That's pretty incredible. I mean, those things are incredible anyway and scary.
Yeah.
But it would be wild to actually just live out there for a month.
Look at the boat, how big that it's already, like, it's so small. Oh my God. This is huge.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, we'll look forward to meeting him tomorrow and talking to him. He has posted messages to us frequently on the podcast, which we very much appreciate his input.
Yeah, true.
We'll look forward to talking to him.
20 years. Woo!
Wow.
That's crazy.
And
what about now? Nothing? Well, we'll talk tomorrow anyway.
We'll talk tomorrow. Yeah, don't tell us anymore, Frode. We want to hear all about it tomorrow.
All right.
So join us tomorrow. We're going to have a really interesting discussion. This is going to be fun. And I
want to talk also, not today, but I want to talk about the fact that we're going to reopen restaurant everywhere in the world, but in San Francisco area. And there's a lot of things that are crazy in that whole reopening, because a restaurant is going to have to lose tables, which means that there's no way they can make money at all.
it's going to be very, very difficult for a long
Either
time.
they open or they don't open. You can't just like, so this is going to be interesting.
I'm just so glad that I'm independently wealthy and don't have to worry about any of this.
Oh boy. All right.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Join us tomorrow. It's going to be a great show. Be safe.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the see you tomorrow.